everybody, it's Coach K Rose, Red Tulip, PD Wire, episode 1. Today we're here with Steve Gilbert, better known as Bean. How you doing, Bean?
Doing great, Rose. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. We're here today to talk to Bean about, several life experiences. We're going to talk about Bean's diagnosis with Parkinson's 22 years ago.
2004, yes.
2004, his introduction to exercise, which led to a running career, which ultimately has led to
The Boston Marathon, 130th Boston Marathon.
130th Boston Marathon. Bean, it's good to have you, man.
Thank you.
As always. So Bean, introduce us to yourself a little bit, and let's go back to the days, the early diagnosis days. What was going on back then?
Well, a lot of things were going on besides the Parkinson diagnosis. I had been recently retired from my career job. I had been diagnosed with prostate cancer and had prostate cancer surgery, successful. And then 6 months later, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And so it was a lot to take on at one time, but as it turned out, my life has been good, and I'm really happy that I can continue my activities.
So Rocksteady Boxing was founded in 2006, and I know you weren't there on day one, but you were there pretty much since the beginning. I think it was maybe April of 2007?
Yes, it was. That'll be 19 years ago next week.
Wow.
It was a life-changing experience. I had no idea. And the first thing that I heard when I came in the door was I looking for the employment office? And I said no. And the second thing I heard was from Coach Rose, "Come on, Bean, you can do this." Actually, it was Stever Bean at that time.
Stever Bean, that's where it came from.
And I thought, first of all, how does she know that I can do this? I don't even know what this is. And secondly, I'm not going to question what she's calling me. She's a world champion boxer.
And then it made sense because, he's a Bean. And if you saw this Bean on the heavy bags working this equipment, you would understand this Bean can put out some power. This Bean becomes a stock when he's working out. So Bean was part of the program way back in the beginning. He's been with us for 19 years as a Rocksteady boxer. And things continued to develop in your exercise career. If I remember correctly, you really had never exercised before you had Parkinson's, is that right?
I was not an exercise person. I was not an athlete, not mentally, not physically. And through the exercise program at Rocksteady Boxing, I found the fitness that I had never known or aspired to. And it was invigorating, it was empowering. And then in April of 2010, my younger brother, who is a runner, was coming to run the Geist Half Marathon. And I said to myself, I can do that. Just as you said when I first went there, you can do this. I didn't know what this was, but that was one of the thises. And so I went out and signed up to run the Geist Half Marathon, which I ran. I started out very overly fatigued from some reasons that happened beforehand. Mm-hmm. And about halfway through, I thought, I don't know if I can finish this. And that lasted for about 10 seconds. I thought, wait a minute, we don't quit at Rocksteady. What do? We work hard for 3 minutes, and then we take a break. And that's the way I finished that race.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't particularly fast, but I finished, and I was happy with it. Next year, I ran it again, and I called my brother, and I said, I feel like I could run back where I came from. And he said, if you sign up for a marathon, I'll come run with you. And that 2011 was then my first marathon, which again was a result of having come to Rocksteady Boxing in the first place.
So tell us a little bit more about your brother. I've had the good fortune of hanging out with Bruce on several occasions, and what cool brothers you guys are. What a beautiful friendship that you have. Tell us a little bit about his running career and how that inspired you to get on the road.
Well, he started in junior high or high school, and his first high school track meet was as a freshman. He went out to run a three-way meet with Fishers in Noblesville, and he ended up, the coach told him to run the mile, which he hadn't practiced, and he ended up winning the mile race at that first meet. Nobody told him the freshman wasn't supposed to win. But he'd been running all his life, And then in 1978, 79, he said he was coming out to run the Indy Mini. And my wife said, "You're going to run with him, aren't you?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to run with him." She says, "Yes, you are." So I did.
Oh, wow.
And I ran
didn't
the
know that.
7 mile, which they had then. And then 4 more times in the next 5 years, I ran the Mini. And in 1984, I made a conscious decision that I wasn't going to run anymore. I didn't like it, didn't care for it. I was going to lose a toenail, didn't need all that hassle.
That happens.
So I stopped running for 29 years.
Oh, wow.
And then when I came back to Rock Steady, all of a sudden, running was a pleasure, it was an empowerment, and I got hooked and been running ever since. I had no idea it was going to take over my life the way it has.
Well, that's awesome. And actually, in all the years that I've known you, I didn't know that you ran a mini marathon or you ran a 7 mile before that and attempted some of those races. So that's pretty cool to make that comparison that, you know, you did it before Parkinson's and it wasn't for you. And then fast forward decades later, what you're doing today, that's a pretty incredible story.
Well, and then the excitement I had when at age 65, I beat my time from when I was 37, proving that commitment and perseverance can outweigh youthful enthusiasm.
Yeah, you just can't count these guys out, man. That's kind of the whole point of this Red Tulip Parkinson's Wire, PD Wire, is to tell some of these stories about how Parkinson's does not define you. It doesn't define us. And
with Parkinson's, you have every day is a good day to me, but some days are better than others. And I thought I had run all my fastest race times when I was 70, which I had, until I went out and ran a marathon when I was 79 and beat my time from when I was 70.
So I want to go back to your first marathon in 2011 because that was also my first marathon. Had the privilege to run with Bean along with Tom and Chris Timberlake. Got the privilege to run alongside of you and Bruce. I think we all got separated at some point, but great day, beautiful day that turned out to be. And I want to watch a clip that to this day gives me chills. Being, I think, do I remember correctly, you were the last runner to cross the line that day?
I think there may have been 5 or 6 after us.
You know what? But you crossed the line,
I did cross
didn't you?
the line, yeah.
So that was such a cool event, the way that everybody embraced that moment. So I want to take a look at that clip of you and your brother crossing the finish line.
Go Bean! Cross the line!
Steve Gilbert coming to the finish line with his brother Bruce. Steve's running from Parkinson's disease. It's his first marathon, his brother's 65th marathon. How about that story, you guys? Come on, make some noise. These guys are special here in Indianapolis. That is just awesome. Brotherly love. That is amazing. That is so awesome. Steve's wife Donna here. Get a picture of all 3 family members here. That is just finishing a Rocky. That is so emotional. That is just incredible.
That gives me chills every time.
Well, you know, it was a very great day in my life, and it was a bit of a struggle getting there because I had, in my training, I had injured my knees pretty severely, to the point that I was wearing knee braces because of that.
Yeah,
I had gone out and done a long run 2 weeks before that and hobbled back to the car, and I thought, should I run or should I not? I thought, this may be my only chance in my life to run a marathon.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. So I went out and did it. But what I had done is I had hurt my knees because my glutes had become weak. And my hamstrings took over, but they can't stabilize your knees for more than about 2 or 3 hours. And this run was longer than that. So we started, and I was running, and we were all together, and we got about halfway, and we said, why don't you 2 go on? And so you and Chris went on, and that was fine. We were doing fine. but it was a struggle, and 6 hours, 22 minutes, and 20 seconds later,
Jeez.
not that I remember,
Yeah.
we turned
crossed the
across
line,
the finish
Bean.
line, and of course my wife had gotten quite well acquainted with the DJ by that time. It was a
Yeah.
long wait,
Yeah.
and she arranged to have the music that was playing
That was so
when
cool.
we came through. It was really, it made that last 100 yards a lot more heartwarming.
Well, and you have Coach Chris and I beat, because to this day, that's the only marathon that the only full marathon that we've ever run. And because of you, I'll never forget, you know, you had said, you guys go ahead and take off. You were resting a little bit, and I think you could tell we were getting into it. We were getting squirmy. So we did, we took off, and I will never forget when we crossed the half marathon mark, we both said almost at the same time, this is the furthest I've ever run.
Yeah.
That was the furthest we'd ever done as a half marathon. So it was your inspiration, and we finished the marathon in time to be able to capture that moment. And tell us a little bit more about what it was like for you to run that first marathon with your brother.
Well, it was a great experience, starting with the fact that the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon people kind of adopted what I was doing.
Yeah.
And wrote us. They asked me in advance. They had gone to Kansas City to recruit runners and tried to recruit my brother, who I had already recruited. And he said, I'm already going. And he told them about what I was doing.
Cool.
So they got in touch with me and they said, could you write a couple of sentences about what inspires you and maybe inspire others? And I said, sure. So I wrote a number of things. And when I got to the Marriott downtown, I went up and I was in the lounge and somebody said, oh, you're the guy that's in the program.
Cool.
And I thought she meant in the training program. And so I said, I kind of acknowledged I might be. So when I got to the expo, I got a copy of the program, and the back page was what I had written as inspiration and
Wow.
why I was running and about Rocksteady. I thought, I haven't even run the race. They've already accomplished what I set out to accomplish.
Well, that's, you know, put the pressure on
so
for sure.
that was pretty exciting.
You had no idea you were on the
No, I
back
had
of that
no
pamphlet.
idea.
That's so cool.
And so then we went out that morning. It was kind of chilly.
It was, yeah.
But pleasantly chilly,
Mm-hmm.
and it did warm up throughout the day. I remember
It was perfect for running.
about the time we got to the art museum, my knees were really killing me, and I took my knee braces off and asked them to put some ice packs on. That was the worst
Oh,
thing
you
I
took
could
a break
do.
there?
Just
Wow.
briefly sat down
I didn't know that.
and put these ice packs on, and about 30 seconds later I had this terrific pain shooting down into my calves from the chill.
Oh, jeez.
And I said, oh, this isn't helping. I got to take these back off again. But all of these things
Mary.
added to the mystique of that event.
Yeah.
And then you and Christy and Tom and my wife and my brother and his wife,
Yeah.
all being there at the end, it was really special.
It was really a magical day, and I'm not sure what you guys did after the event, but I remember Tom and Chris and I went to some dive restaurant, trucker restaurant, and we smashed cheeseburgers and French fries, and no guilt. It was great.
Oh, I had no guilt. I don't know what I did now, but I had no guilt. But I did have this thought in the back of my mind that was not my best run ever. I knew it wasn't, and so I was still injured. And I went to an injury clinic in February, which was 3 months later. And I went to the PT and she said, can you do a back bridge? And I said, sure, I can do a back bridge. She says, hop up on the table and do a back bridge. And I did. And she pats my bottom. She says, you got a soggy butt. I said, we just met. Literally. And she said, that doesn't change the diagnosis.
Yeah.
She said, I could tell you what to do and write it all out, or I can give you this website called Hamstring Dominance. And you can read that and follow the directions. And I read that and followed the directions for 3 months. And I ran a half marathon and my butt hurt. I said, yes!
Because you're using it.
It's working!
Yes, your butt works.
And I've never had that problem since. I'm lapsed a little bit on doing the routine. But I did a routine to get my glutes invigorated and incorporated, because if you don't, they will be lazy and they'll let the hamstrings and the quads do all the work. And then when they wear out, you've got nothing left.
So this fascinates me as a fitness professional because obviously what we're doing with Rocksteady Boxing is very scientifically tailored to help the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. In a really fun way, we try to make it dynamic so people come back. The exercises are great, the atmosphere is great, but truly the exercises that you experience throughout the week are geared towards flexibility, balance, speed of movement, strength, posture. I mean, all these things that someone with Parkinson's gait, shuffling gait. But if you're training for a specific event, Rocksteady is not going to cover all those things. So I've always found it really fascinating that you went the extra distance, if you will, to get trainers that were specific to your sport and really dive into what your body needed for this type of training.
Well, and we do back bridges at Rocksteady, but
Yeah.
this was very focused. And the other thing is, you can let your hamstrings do the work on the back bridge.
Yeah.
If you want to
Put your mind where your muscle is, right?
Yeah.
Tighten
And
them.
if you say, the coaches will tell us, tighten your butt, and that's what you need to do. And I am very conscious of that now. And I'm also conscious of the fact that the exercises and activities that we perform that I like the least are the ones I need the most.
That's pretty typical
and I realize that.
of most athletes, yeah.
And so that's a good incentive to focus on the points that are of weakness that can be helpful,
Yeah.
not only in running, but in life.
Well, and that's a great point too for all people with Parkinson's disease. Whatever exercise for Parkinson's modality you get into, whether it's Rocksteady Boxing or Power for Parkinson's or cycling, there's a whole myriad of exercise programs that people can choose from. If you have tightness or you feel like you have weakness, it's always a good idea to see a physical therapist for that specific issue. You're not always going to get everything, you can't cover everything that every single person with every level of Parkinson's needs in their journey, but don't be afraid to reach out to a professional, a medical professional if you have those weaknesses. They're gonna work on those targeted areas and they're gonna get you back into your program. So that's great advice that you sought that and it worked.
And thinking back to that very first race, the Geist, I'm thinking about the fact that there's something infectious here. There's a rock-steady attitude.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't have it when you get here, you'll have it after you've been here, because that was the kind of feeling that I had that got me through that first race.
That's awesome.
And it kept me going.
There's a level of toughness and integrity, tenacity that has been purposely woven into Rocksteady since day one, because it's just a boxer's swagger in general. If you're not walking into that ring with an attitude, you're not intimidating your opponent. And in this situation, our opponent is Parkinson's disease. So that swagger is looking Parkinson's in the face every day you walk into this gym. Like, I got you, man. I got you.
And it's the tenacity that you bring to that fight.
Yep.
That helps. Maybe one day, Parky, but not today.
Love it. All right, Bean, let's talk a little bit more about, holy moly. So Bean is qualified for his second Boston Marathon. You ran your first one 2 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Wow, time flies. So we haven't quite gotten the statistic yet, but we want to know and we want to claim if he's the first person at 80 years old with Parkinson's to run the Boston Marathon. Do we know that yet?
We don't know that, and we may not be able to confirm that. We can certainly suspect that.
Yeah.
I do believe there may be another 80-year-old with Parkinson's running in 26.
Oh, it's a race.
He was diagnosed a couple of years ago. I'm not certain that he's 80, and I'm not certain that he's running. I'll have to check to be sure.
But you're certain he has Parkinson's?
I am.
Okay.
He asked me because he was concerned about qualifying to run again.
Mm-hmm.
He had run with me in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him about the Parkinson's exception, and I highly commend the Boston Athletic Association for their inclusion of para-athletes. And Parkinson's patients are considered in that para-athlete division. Now, I'm not classified as a para-athlete from the Para-Athletic Association, but from a Parkinson's standpoint.
Is that because you're so functional?
Yes.
You really are?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Some Parkinson's athletes are classified as para-athletes. Joe Drake, for instance. Others, like myself, I didn't really qualify as impaired enough for a para-athlete, but I qualified as impaired enough to to get the additional qualification time for Boston. So I told him about the fact that if he goes in as a Parkinson's athlete, he will get a start time closer to the front of the pack, which will give him more time before the finish line closes to get there in his 6 hours. And he was pleased with that, and I think he's still running, and I hope to see him.
Yeah, he's just too good. Didn't qualify for the disability category.
I didn't mind that.
That's
and
awesome.
As a matter of fact,
that's awesome.
If you look at the categories, I probably am more competitive against 80-year-olds than I am against 30-year-old other para-athletes.
Well, I mean, and you have this life experience now, you know, that, and man, I don't want to say a tragedy, the tragedy of diagnosis, which at that time could have been thought of, hopefully you don't even remember what you thought back then, but you have that life experience now that puts you kind of in a different mindset than your peers. And that's something not to mess with. Well,
it's an attitude of every run is a gift, blessing, that I didn't anticipate when I was younger, and I don't take for granted now.
So cool. So I am the Director of Communications and Engagement for the Red Tulip for Parkinson's disease, and we're very honored that you're our first guest on our PD Wire. And Bean has graced us with running with the Red Tulip logo on his jersey this year. Red Tulip for Parkinson's disease, part of our mission is to unite and bring the Parkinson's community together to lift up anything and everything that's positive and proactive for people with Parkinson's disease. And our main goal is to make the Red Tulip as recognizable as the pink ribbon for breast cancer awareness. Red Tulip was adopted in 2005, but if you talk to most people, they really don't even know that the Red Tulip is the actual International Parkinson's symbol. So our goal is to bring this symbol back to the limelight. We want to connect it to all organizations, foundations, people with Parkinson's, people who love people with Parkinson's, so that eventually the general public will see the Red Tulip and say, hey, that's for Parkinson's awareness. And ultimately, we would love to unite the Parkinson's community so that the government will really pay attention to how important this epidemic is and is going to be in the coming decades, and hopefully get some government support, get the funding that we need for research, for a cure.
I feel like most of the good things that have happened to me in the last decade were a result of my having Parkinson's. And I don't understand that. He said, are you a man of faith? And I said, I was. And he starts quoting Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, in which he said, asked the Lord 3 times to take the thorn from his side, and 3 times the Lord refused. He said, my grace is sufficient for you to accomplish what I want you to accomplish. I said, I've read that before, but I didn't know it meant me. And I said, now I've learned that there are a lot of things in that book that mean me, and it's really helped deepen my faith as well as keep me going in my daily activities.
Wow. I continue to be amazed by my friends and the people that we've met in these walls and in these programs. And you truly are some of my best friends in the world. And you have no idea what an impact you have on not only your family and friends, but the coaches here, the other boxers here. The way that you all lift each other up is every day. We see these miracles every day, and you're putting in the work, though. We can tell you, we can point you in the right direction, but ultimately, you're the one putting in the work, and I want to commend you for everything that you've accomplished and everything that you will accomplish.
Well, thank you. It's a blessing that I truly enjoy. I did put in the work, but it has come from an unusual blessing, and I never stop giving thanks for that.
Thank you for your time today, Mr. Bean, Steve
Gilbert.
The date of the Boston again is April
20th, 2 weeks from Monday.
2 weeks from this Monday, so it'll be broadcasted. I think you can watch the
ESPN.
little dot. Yeah, so check it out on ESPN.
Or you can follow, look online and follow my number on the Boston app.
We watched him last year, or 3 years ago, watching him run through the Boston. So we'll try to put that up on one of the websites so you can all watch Bean cross the line.
You have to be pretty patient. It takes me a while, but
That's
I'll get there.
all right. Get a good meal and some coffee, and see you at the Boston. Hey, I love you, man.
Thank
You
you,
are
Rose.
such an inspiration in this world, and keep on being you, Bean.
Thank you, Rose.
Good luck at the Boston.